What is up, everyone? Welcome to another weekly news video. There's a couple of really interesting topics today that I think are really good for the hobby long term, as well as an update with regards to chasing cardboard. So let's jump straight into it. The first thing I want to talk to is the announcement of Fanatics Lives, or Fanatics Event, I should say, not live. Now, this has been covered by many people in the last few weeks, and I think it's an incredibly fantastic thing for our industry. For those of you that are unaware, it's essentially them wanting to come out with their own, Comic-Con style event, right? And is a direct shot out at, the National, specifically in some of these other bigger card shows like Burbank, which is a newer one, and then also the Dallas card show, specifically to America. The thing that I want to talk to on this is what I hope Fanatics will try and do from a global perspective, right? Because we often talk about, all these things that happen from a card show perspective in America, and that's incredibly fantastic. But there are collectors all around the world, and I think because Fanatics now, own the manufacturing of cards all the way to the distribution, they're trying to do better alignment with card stores and things like that. They have a really big incentive to want to grow the hobby, internationally. Obviously, Panini and Topps did before Fanatics came on board as well, but now that they can sort of do an end-to-end offering and control the whole process, they got a really good value proposition. And I think, establishing a show like this, and we don't really know how it's actually going to operate. We don't know how big it's going to be, but the fact that these articles specifically mention they want it to rival the likes of, Comic-Con, that should, explain that it's going to be a huge event and might be so big that it could even squash the National in some capacity. But if they can take it and market it like that and create it this huge event where they can have, athletes showing up and sort of paying these athletes and then having, other events and things like that within this, greater show, I think it's a really, really cool thing. And if they can stretch that reach to go internationally and start doing some of these things, here in Australia or somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Europe, and then, pay some of these athletes to fly across the world to attend these events and maybe pay for some of these dealers to also travel internationally, I think it could be really, really good for the hobby long term. When we talk about, the benefits that, Fanatics could bring coming into this industry, it's things like this that excite me, right? It's not so much the issues we're seeing out at Topps with, them remaining silent when it comes to these missing cards, them stuffing up things like redemptions and all that jazz. This is the area they can make a big impact and do things that have never been done before. And if they can, bring these events all around the world, or even if it's just America, and they make it so it's something that sort of becomes like Comic-Con, where in the past Comic-Con was just for comic book nerds like myself, but now it's, a big event where you've got, producers and films doing advertising there as well, right? It's become part of pop culture. If something like this could now become part of pop culture as well, I think this could be really good for the industry. It has some, drawbacks, but I think it's a really, exciting thing that I hope they target international customers as well, because we're a big market that they can tap into. And like I touched on at the very start, because they have that end-to-end proposition by, for a value proposition, I mean, where they can manufacture the cards, market them, sell them directly, et cetera, they're going to see the dollars straight in their pocket from doing this sort of thing. Whereas in the past, if, Panini or Topps didn't really have an incentive to go ahead and create their own show, right? But because you've got this giant conglomerate now, you sort of get the benefit, and them as a business can see it as being successful for trying to do this stuff. So that's what excites me. I'm keen to get your thoughts on this one down in the comments below. I'm not sure why that crap pop-up just came up, but it is what it is. In terms of the big news in the last 24 hours, it is the PSA grading directly from COMC. So basically you have raw cards in your COMC account. You can now send them to PSA directly and have them graded. They basically do all the paperwork, etc. This is the same thing that COMC is already offering when it comes to CGC, which is a really cool thing. Now, again, some of you might say, well, PSA, I'm not a big fan of them, whatever. That is what it is. This is the kind of stuff, this is the kind of innovation within the industry that creates so much more value for us as customers. The regulars on the channel will know I talk about that element all the time, right? About how these businesses sort of take us for granted, and they're sort of stuck in the mindset of 10, 15 years ago and trying to operate the same sort of way, where they need to, leverage modern day technology. They need to leverage some of these platforms to give us better value. And PSA doing this is exactly that, right? Because people use COMC all the time for buying PC items, but also for, selling. So the fact that you can sort of integrate this now with PSA grading is a huge thing. And I haven't checked the pricing just yet. I checked a bit earlier, but I forgot what it specifically said. This kind of thing would be made even better if the pricing was a little bit more affordable, in the sense that it wasn't the same fee that you're seeing by PSA directly. they give discounted rates, because I believe they do that for CSG or CGC. But that's the kind of thing that should come off the back of this, right? Where we as customers are using COMC, it becomes quite expensive for us to have to, ship the card home or ship it to a group submitter and then send it back off to PSA. You're basically paying double postage costs. But now in this instance, your cards are already in your COMC account. Now you can send them directly to PSA and then have them come back to your COMC account. Those efficiencies create so much more value for us, and there's so many more opportunities like this across the value chain completely. And it'd be nice to see, eBay maybe starting to do some of this through their eBay Vault and maybe some of these other platforms as well, because it's such a cool thing. And this is the kind of thing that gets me, again, excited about the hobby moving forward, because these are the opportunities that these businesses can start doing to help us, save a bit of money, right? It's just very frustrating in this day and age where you're sort of forced to, ship cards all over the place to get them where you want them, and you got to go through all these very manual processes, and it's just slow and mundane. Whereas this, is incredibly efficient, and it's still going to be slow having your cards graded by PSA, but just the fact that you get this sort of integration now is really cool for customers. And I'm really keen to get your thoughts on this. And I'm also really keen to see what these businesses can try and do, moving forward to make this even better than what it currently is. Like, is it discounts? Is it, special offers through using this service? There's so many more things they could be doing. And I'm excited because we as customers, I feel like we're getting burned a little bit right now, like I said, by these businesses charging us the same fees and charging us for these slow services and doing the same things they've always been doing. We need innovation. Innovation creates more value for us as customers. That is incredibly important. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is Chasing Cardboard. So they have deleted their response video to Sports Card Radio and some of these other, haters, these negative losers, as they basically put it, which I thought was an interesting move by them. Now, I'm not sure if this means they no longer stand by what they've said in that video, or they're trying to get away from the pushback, because they turned comments off on it the other day. It's no real big deal at the end of the day, the fact they've deleted it, because they were copping a lot of heat, and you don't like seeing people cop heat. The problem is, though, they were copying heat for the right reasons, right? People were trying to say, well, we sort of liked what you're doing. What you've done in this instance is not good enough. This response video is not good enough. What the heck are you doing? So I'm interested to see whether they're going to comment on this situation again or come out with an apology video or something along those lines. But I thought I would, share that with you. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts on why you think they deleted it from their YouTube channel. Now, one more thing on them that I want to flag very quickly, right? So in that video, Tide talked about how if the rock card that was, in question came back fake, they were going to do a giveaway and give some free cards away to people. What hasn't been discussed enough, right? And Sports Card Radio flagged this in their video the other day off the back of the community post that you're seeing on screen. They sold 2 other autos, a few days prior to the one in question. So there's 3 fake autos on their account, and I'm really curious what they're going to do to these 2 buyers, if that other auto does in fact come back fake or as fake from PSA, which it more than likely will, because these also share, very, very similar autographs to the fake ones that also do not match, some of the authenticated rock autos out there. The card on top, I'm going to have a bit of a story for you in a few days, so please keep an eye out for that, because things are getting even more interesting with this situation. But again, I'm keen to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think, Chasing Cardboard should do about the customers who bought these accounts? Yes, technically they didn't say these autographs were authenticated, but similar to the other one, the listing itself doesn't really say they're fake either, or doesn't really draw, the appropriate level of questions for the prospective buyer. Again, buyers need to do their own due diligence, and they need to take, some accountability. But I just think this is an interesting one, and one that, I want them to comment on, because like I said, if that other one does come back fake, are they going to refund these 2 customers? In my opinion, I think they should, because that would be the right thing to do. I'm keen to get your thoughts on that down in the comments below. That was sort of it today. I'm still quite unwell. My voice is a bit scratchy, so I do apologize. As always, though, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.